Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the second edition of Homemade Conversation with Homemade Desserts. And the dessert that Oliver chose was apple pie. So anyway, Oliver, can you tell us something about yourself?
Sure. So I'm originally from Indianapolis, Indiana. I studied the arts for a while. Started off in photography, then went into graphic design, which led me into fine arts. And in my studies, it has been both in the United States, where I went to school. I went to Heron School of Art in Indianapolis. I also attended International Business College, which is where I worked on the graphic design stuff.
Nice.
And worked in the field, publishing for a while, and worked in the art department and stuff like that. So that was pretty good. But then I got into the fine arts. And getting into the fine arts, one of the things that happened was I was able to also study overseas. And what got me into the overseas thing was actually doing a little stint in the military. And so that took me overseas, took me to Europe. And while I was over in Europe, I was able to sort of kind of jump on like an apprenticeship type deal with an artist over there.
Nice.
Her name was Birgit Gould, and she was great, phenomenal art teacher. And we also did like art excursions where we would go to another country for like a week, and we would have class there, and we learned different techniques, and there would be guest artists that would come in to show us things too. So it was a well-rounded education in the arts,
Nice.
as well as learning some of those old traditional
Right.
techniques from the the European masters. It was interesting. So did a lot of that. Been sort of kind of in the art world for about, pretty much, I would almost say all my life.
Nice.
I did things when I was a kid. Won the little contest when I was a kid with the public schools and the public library system. That's what it was. They had an art show, and I was in on that. And that was really my first real taste of things in the art world.
Right.
And I was only in third grade when that happened.
Nice.
So I was young. High school, took a couple of classes in high school, but it didn't really mesh. So sort of kind of got away from it, but it was while I was in the military, which is where I got into photography. And then it grew from there. And one of the cool things about being in photography, when I was overseas, I actually got to do like an apprenticeship in photography.
Nice.
Because a friend of mine, her mother owned a photo studio in the little town that we were in. And she would let me come in during the weekends, and she would teach me photography. And this was still back in the day when it was still film. So there was no digital yet. It was still film. So I learned studio photography from her.
Nice.
And brought that back over. And then went into graphic design. And that's where I met my mentor and probably my best friend and one of the most influential people for me in the art, Kevin Wilson, phenomenal artist in Indiana. He's been a huge influence on me.
Nice. So who inspires you?
So inspiration. So not only is my inspiration from the masters and traditional artists and the foundations that was laid there, but also what we would declare as more modern artists. And also I have an influence that comes from African American artists.
Right.
Artists that we don't necessarily know or hear of. And I didn't hear of some of these when I was growing up as a kid.
Right.
One of my bigger influences was Robert Duncanson. He was recently nominated, or he was the one that had the painting, the wildlife painting, landscape painting with the rainbow that was put in by President Biden when he did his inauguration.
Yeah.
He was the artist that was chosen for that. And then there's the sculptor, Augusta Savage, who her work is awesome, very influential. A lot of people don't know about her. And then there's also Henry Tanner.
Yeah.
Henry Tanner is one that a lot of people don't know. And what I like about Henry Tanner is that he is also from Indianapolis, which that blew my mind, especially when I seen his work in the Indianapolis Museum of Art.
Nice.
And I would look at his work as more similar to the Impressionists. He was working during the same time frame
Right.
as Picasso and those guys.
Right.
So those are some of my influences, as well as my mentors. You know, like I said, Birgit in Germany and Kevin here in the United States. You know, they were big influences on me and my work.
Right. So if your art had a language and it could talk, what would you think it would be saying?
It would be saying a lot of things because it is different. The pieces are different, the styles and the techniques are all different, but there's one consistent theme through them, and that is it's a theme of, I don't know, like a reverence, I guess, toward natural beauty and inner peace, inner calmness.
Nice.
Those type of things are things that I think sort of kind of connects my work, regardless if it's figurative work, abstract work, landscape work. That's the common thing, and that's almost like a common language itself,
Right.
that you see through
Through your-
pieces.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And if you didn't want to explain your work, right? And you know how artists have a way of explaining stuff, but they don't want to overpower someone.
Right.
How what I'm trying to say with my work. You know what I mean? Like how would you do that? Explain your work without explaining it.
And it's interesting that you asked me that question because recently I've talked with a couple of people about that, similar, but not exactly that. And what I do is, in my work, a lot of my work I try not to give a title to. Now, I may give it a series title if I'm working in a series.
Right.
And maybe the only title would be like, it's like in my Ocean series, it would be Ocean number 1 or Ocean number 12. But and there's a story behind the pieces,
Right.
which I will share about, what body of water it was that influenced me to do it.
Right.
But that's going to be it, and I'm going to let the viewer look at the piece, and they're going to make their own connection with it. And that's something that I've learned to not necessarily influence how somebody else views the work, because you as the artist may view it one way
Right.
and look at it one way, but somebody else may have a different experience with it.
Right.
So I would rather let each individual have their own experience with the work.
Right. Right. When I look at some of your pieces, I feel like there's a flow there. You know what I mean? There's an unwritten word that seems to be constantly keep coming through. You know what I mean? I mean, I love the energy, and I love how subtle but loud it speaks, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if when people come in, so do you feel like like you're channeling people that help with your work? You know what I mean? Like, do you feel like when you step back and say, wow, I feel like somebody helped me with that?
Sometimes, and where I actually feel that coming from, like my Roaring 20 series is a series of drawings that are done working with models.
Right.
And as the model takes a pose, there's a dialogue that happens between me and her
Right.
during that pose. And I think that happens with me and the model in creating the piece.
Right.
So
there's a connection there.
right.
And you feel like that person may step out of their body and you're stepping out of your body, and then you're kind of like merging together and speaking the same language.
Yeah, it is. And what was also interesting is when you connect with a piece, or a person connects with a piece,
Right.
sometimes they don't realize what it is that connects them, or they would be very surprised that you are able to get that connection in the piece. When I first had the Roaring 20 series showing for the first time,
Right.
a group of women came in and they were looking at it, and they didn't see me sitting behind my desk, but they came in, and one of the women made a comment, "These are beautiful. There's no way that a guy could have did this. These had to be done by a woman."
Wow.
And I replied from behind the desk, I said, "I take that as a compliment, but no, I am a guy, 100%. And, we got a nice little laugh about that, but it was interesting because they were saying that the work was able to tap into that connection, and it connected with them on that level.
Right.
So I try to keep that in the work.
Right. Right. So with that, from hearing that story, that what it was connecting to was also too what was going on with inside yourself. I know, like, actually, I don't really think the artists really have a hard time connecting with their feminine side. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think artists are really, good. Well, most artists are really good at connecting with that side and bringing that balance. You know what I mean? But do you feel like that you are very connected with yourself and who you are? And
I do.
you know,
Yes, I do feel like I'm connected with myself, and I understand who I am. It now, like anybody and everybody, it has been an ongoing journey,
right.
and it's been learning about myself. And there has been times when there has been major conflicts, and really those major conflicts mostly were the conflicting nature between being in the military
Yeah.
and being an artist.
Right.
And because those are two things that, while you see things like military art, it's very different than other types of art.
Right. Right.
It's very different, and there are two total different aspects on the spectrum.
Right. Right.
And so it has been hard during my time in the military to sort of kind of reconcile those two things and
Right.
to get those two things to even out.
Right.
But-
To be able to come from a place of love instead of coming from a place of
Right.
anger or fear.
And the interesting thing about that is, I think that me being an artist and being in tune with that part of me
Right.
actually has served me well, especially during deployments in other countries, and connecting with other people from other countries.
Right.
It was very interesting. There would be times where I literally was invited for tea with an elder
That's awesome.
where others weren't,
Right.
and it was because there was a connection there.
Right.
And I think that connection, part of it was probably who I am, but also I think a lot of it came from the influences of the arts, because the arts gives you a different perspective,
Right.
a different view on things.
Right.
And you have to be strong enough to be able to not let this huge entity of the military take over that.
Right. Right.
And that has, but I was able to do it, and I think a lot of that came from a lot of the places that I was stationed in, the people that I was actually meeting, the jobs I actually had,
Right.
which sort of kind of kept me out of the quote unquote traditional military roles, which
Right.
allowed me to do things.
Yeah, to step away from that ego,
Yeah,
being so egoistic, and knowing that I'm constantly right, but being in a place of allowing to accepting.
right.
You know what I mean? So when people come to you and they're like talking to you, they're showing you who they are, and you also too. It's like with the whole model thing,
Yeah,
when you're like, I'm stepping out of my body, you're stepping out of yours, and we're sharing a moment.
and we're making that connection.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
So it's been a challenging but a beautiful journey. There was a lot of sacrifices that were made along the journey.
Right.
Um,
So that's called doing your shadow work,
yeah.
going to your going into that dark part of yourself, and
Yeah.
then gathering your gifts. You know what I mean?
And trying to put them out and trying to let that come forth.
Right.
And it has been an interesting journey. And like I said, there was a lot of sacrifices. And when I look back over it, would I change anything? And honestly, no.
Yeah.
Because if I changed anything, I would not be where I am now.
Exactly.
And I actually sort of kind of like where I am now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Are you planning on writing a book?
not a book. Even though I have been asked about that a few times, because it is a varied life experiences here. And a lot of people that know me, that have known me through different phases of my life, have been part of that story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it would be, I would say it would be an interesting book. But one of the things that has been consistent, that will be consistent in it, has been the art. The
Right.
art, in some way, shape, or form, has always been there.
Yeah. That's your other language.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Art transcends. When people look at artwork, no matter what nature or what they're going through, they get that. They get that energy. They get the story that they receive through your artwork, which
Right.
is beautiful. Yeah. So tell people like how they can find you.
So you can find me. I am currently at the factory in St. Pete. I have a studio there. Nice little place, good environment, good vibe. We have a lot of different things going on there. Most people will probably be more familiar with the fairgrounds, which is part of our complex here at the factory. But if you know where the fairground is, you can find us. I'm also have an Instagram presence at Blackjack Studios, and it's spelled BLAQUE.
Nice.
JACK. And you can also find me at blackjackstudios.com. That's where you will see my gallery space, and you will see some of the things that I have showing, things for sale and stuff like that. And there's a lot of things that I'm trying to get going. So there's going to be more things coming up. But yeah, so those are pretty much the two primary places that you can find me, or the three primary places. Here at the factory, at the physical studio,
Right.
On Instagram, and my website.
Okay. Do you have any work displayed anywhere in like St. Pete or anywhere else?
Not right now. Not right now. I'm still getting my feet wet with that.
Nice.
I've only been in this studio space since February, and I wasn't here the whole month of March. So, I'm still
Right.
getting everything sort of kind of settled, but I am going to be looking to talk with some other galleries, not just here in St. Pete, but throughout the Florida area,
Nice.
as well as nationwide.
Nationwide.
And I'm going to be reaching back out to some of my international contacts
Why not?
and, see if I can get some things going over there that would be mutually beneficial.
Right. Right.
Maybe I can help get an artist from over there over here to do a
Right.
show.
Right.
And vice versa,
Right. Right.
So it's a lot of big ideas, and we'll see where it all goes.
Cool. And are you working on anything now, like another series or?
I am currently working on a new series right now. I call it the Just Be series.
Wow. I like that.
And I can show you one of the pieces from it, and then you can see where it comes from. But it does come from a space of, just slowing down, connecting with oneself, connecting with nature.
Being in that oneness.
Right. And just be.
Nice.
So let me show you the piece.
So, as he want to get that piece of artwork, just want to share, series number 2 will be coming up soon. Waiting to get back with some of the other artists that I have contact with, and here's Oliver. I love that.
So this is one of the pieces from the Just Be series.
Wow.
And like I said, it's designed to sort of kind of have you calm down,
Mm-hmm.
relax, go within, and just be.
Yeah.
But yep, so this is the series that I'm currently working on now.
So if you really like it, like if you look at his artwork, you can see he has the symbol, for peace, and then have Buddha. You can see the eyes and stuff here in the mouth, and I love the fact that this here, the part, how it just drips down across the face.
Mhm.
It's like open, like that person is opening up and just receiving that beautiful love and kindness. You know what I mean? And I love the space too. Because if you know anything about spirituality, you know that from emptiness is where everything begins.
Mhm.
And so you have this emptiness and you have this stuff being created, and the beauty of it, the fact that it's not defined, because life is not defined. And as it opened up, it's like I'm feeling complete now. It's like I feel complete. I love that. It's beautiful.
Thank you. But yeah, this is the new series, and
That's
I'm
gonna be
actually
awesome.
excited to get it out.
Is that your first one, or is that number 1, or?
This is actually, I think this is number 3, somewhere down the line. it's one of, but the whole series itself is going to consist of, the beginning of it is going to consist of 12 initial pieces.
Nice.
And then we will see how it goes, whether the series will continue to grow, which, based on the reactions that I've been getting from some of the people that have seen this and pieces of this series, it looks like this series may be an ongoing series also.
Nice. It's an expression of self. I love that.
Thank you very
Cool.
much. I appreciate it.
So this ends our interview with Oliver, and I want to thank him very much. And like I say, as soon as I get in contact, because you know how artist people are, as soon as I get in contact with the other artists, we will have another video. Thank you. Yeah.